This is Radar for On the Radar Entertain blog, coming to another edition of Movie Reviews and Observations number 104. So as I get towards the end of these 19 through 2021 movies that, are from my old list, you're just like, okay, some of these, are going to be junk. First movie I watched was The Night Shifter. It is a movie that is about some dude who works the late night shift at the morgue. His wife and him are a little bit estranged. He's got a son who's a delinquent, and then he's got a daughter. And here's the secret: the dead talk to him, so he hears all these secrets. So like mob people, bad people, but then somebody he knows tells him secrets about his wife cheating on him, and that brings him down a path of, I got to get back at this dude who sleeping with my wife, giving her money, and then it turns into epic disaster because he tells one of these gangsters that the guy's sleeping with his wife. He didn't say that, but this dude's a snitch. He's a bad guy. So that bad guy can't deal with that. So he's like, I'm going to kill this dude. Happens to be this dude was with the guy's wife, and he didn't know that, and his wife died. And then his children don't have anybody to look after them because he works that night shift. The son is a delinquent. The man who was sleeping with his wife, his daughter, who's pretty old compared to the rest of the people in this movie, because the guy's wife was pretty young, sleeping with this really old guy. She's helping him out with the kids, but then they find out the house is haunted and it's affecting the kids, possessing the kids, screwing them over and stuff, and screwing him over his life. And it's the wife, and she's haunting the house. But I don't get this. She's screwing with the kids. And the movie just ends with this guy just leaving his kids with that woman because he'd rather the kids be left alone than the wife trying to haunt him. It was really dumb, and then you have to sit through subtitles in Portuguese, so it wasn't that great. Then I watched the movie Centigrade, and the best thing about it was an hour and 20-something minutes. So you're not sitting through a very long movie, and it was supposedly based off a true story where these two people spend the night in their car because they can't drive in this horrible snowstorm in Norway because this woman has a book tour and her husband's with her and she's pregnant, and they stay over the night and their car's frozen over, the snow, nobody can hear them and stuff. And she wants to break out, and he says no, stayed in there because they stayed in this space. They kept them warm and safe. They lived on rations. It was based off a true story. And when I knew it watching this, I'm like, well, the wife's going to survive. The baby's going to survive because it wouldn't be made a movie if the woman and the baby died. So that's what I knew would happen. So it was okay. Not the best. It was, Then I watched Brothers by Blood. And the Brothers by Blood, you're thinking that's a cool movie. He's got to do some boxing or some other stuff. Nope. It's a very confusing movie. And you're watching this movie and you got Joel Kinnaman, you got Ryan Phillippe, and you got this Mathias dude, who's like the lead of this movie, this guy with the beard on the left there, and it's hard to figure out who's the main character, who's the cousin, who's the bad guys in this whole Irish mafia thing in Italy. A sister dies, and they want revenge, and all this other stuff, and who are the bad guys, and all this stuff. And the only positive thing about this movie was that it barely a 90-minute movie, but the dialogue wasn't that great. It was confusing. The characters were not really developed, so you don't know what's going on. And you just go, okay, that Ryan Phillippe is a pretty famous person. Joel Kinnaman is. This Mathias dude is the main guy. You've seen him in plenty of movies, so you're like trying to figure out, okay, these are the three people in the movie, but who are they, what's going on? And it was just not that great. Then I watched Crock of Gold, which was about a 2-hour plus movie, and I thought it was going to be like a biopic. No, it's more like a documentary with flashbacks, interviews, and people giving their opinions about this guy named Shane MacGowan, who was like the lead singer of the Pogs and some other punk music, and how he saved Irish music. So you had famous people saying how good he was and things like that, and he really ruined his life because like he could barely talk and speak. He's like in a wheelchair half the time. So overall, you learned something new, but it's just like, yep, 2-hour plus for this wasn't the best use of most people's time. Then I watched the movie Dogs Don't Wear Pants. And you're like, well, that sounds like a dumb title, and you were right. But Rotten Tomatoes experts give it 90%, and like the fans gave it over like a 60 to 70%. I'm like, oh, it's a French movie, you don't get it. No. This dude, his wife dies drowning when his daughter's very young, and he's got to take care of her, but he's this surgeon. So his life is pretty good. He's a surgeon. He hadn't lost his wife, but he got this weird kink of being dominated by this dominatrix, and it makes it like an obsession where he almost dies multiple times, and you realize he's trying to be suicidal, and he's obsessed with this woman. He's talking after and screwing over his daughter and her life, and the daughter's life seems kind of useless in the script, and it's just like, what was the point of it? And it's like, yep, it's about a dude who wants to be dominated and wants to die and stuff, and it was like, yep, not pure cinematic joy. I don't know what people were talking about, but that's one of the worst things I've ever watched. I don't get it. Was this movie made for me? Was it made for them? I don't know. Then I watched 400 Bullets, and it's confusing because you got the British white guy, the British Asian guy, but he's got like the samurai sword to make it like that, and he's got this great martial art thing. And the back of the movie, they give you such a long description about the movie, like, oh, there's bullets and there's fighting and there's banter. Well, no duh, they call it 400 bullets because supposedly that's how many bullets they have left at this outpost that this Asian guy is guarding with one other person because the other troops are elsewhere. And the other dude is on the run from Taliban. But then there's like Taliban people trying to kill him. But then there's also this rogue, group of people that are trying to take them down. It's just like, okay, so we got this rogue group who's the other main person in the movie. And it's like, okay, this rogue group and the Taliban are working together and they're trying to kill this dude and take the missile guidance launchers and stuff like that. And it's just like, okay, it's a little bit confusing, but at least in a bad action movie, there's fighting and there's explosions and people being shot and all this other stuff. It's a military movie, but it was okay. It wasn't that great. The good thing was like an hour and 20-something minutes. It just goes, I don't really know. It was okay. Then I watched The Rising Hawk. It's been on my list for a while, but it always put me off. It was like a 2-hour movie. And it's got Robert Patrick and a bunch of other actors that you've probably seen before, like Tommy Flanagan and Poppy Drayton and whatnot. It was called Battle for the Carpathians. So it's based on kind of a true story about this Mongol taking over the land, and there's some other white dude who's in charge of people, but like he's a jerk. He doesn't care about anybody else, but his daughter cares for this boy of Robert Patrick, and he kind of sells them out, and his movie's just basically them trying to stop this Mongolian army trying to kill them and things like that, and then them trying to come out on top. So they say it's historical drama based on a novella, so it was okay. There's a lot of fighting, a lot of action, a lot of cool stuff, but it was like 2 hours plus with credits. And there's some scenes that were a lot of talking that weren't needed, some romance scenes that weren't needed. It's just like, okay, these are the people that are good, these are the bad, these are the imposter. He's not really bad, he's just selfish, so let's try to save the day. But yeah, it was overall pretty good. Then I made a mistake because I did not cross movies off my 2020 or 2021 list, and I watched a movie that I can't believe that I watched last year because I'm saying to myself, wow, Wanda Sykes has a horrible wig in this movie. Jimmy Simpson from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia was McBoyle, and then Gina Hall is wearing a horrible wig, and her boss is this chunky Australian dude or British dude I've seen before, and I'm just like, okay, Allison Janney's husband's cheating on him, and Mila Kunis is her sister, and it's got a lot of famous people in this movie, but the script is, wow, this is horrible writing. It's really stupid. It's not believable. It's really dumb throughout the stuff happening throughout this movie. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, didn't I see a movie where Wanda Sykes, Regina Hall had bad wigs, and she worked in like a fake Best Buy or something like that? And then you're like, oh crap, I watched, 45 minutes, maybe like 50-something minutes, and it's an hour into the movie. Awkwafina plays a horrible mercenary for like this bad guy and stuff, and you're just like, oh my god, I can't believe that I saw this movie, and it's this stupid that this woman says her husband was kidnapped, but he wasn't because he died of a heart attack having sex with his mistress, and she catches them and stuff, and Mila Kunis is a reporter. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe that I watched pretty much like an hour of this 90-something minute movie when I've already seen this stupid movie. And look, Rotten Tomatoes gives it 11%, so you know that it's horrible. So I will say this again. Remember, for people who make movie lists, cross off the movies that you watched, or you get them in your possession if you're getting from the library as soon as possible, so you don't make the mistake of rewatching one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. That was horrible to sit through it twice. It's one thing to sit through a movie that was good or average, and you've already seen it. Like I saw this movie about a dog multiple times, or some drama, but this was stupid. But if you say overall, the best movie that I did watch this week was The Rising Hawk, because it was pretty good, despite how long it was. If you are a fan of Irish punk music and the Pogs and this guy, Shane MacGowan, yeah, you'll say this was a good movie too. 400 Bullets, cliche action film. Brothers by Blood. Don't waste your time watching that drama, or Centigrade, or The Night Shifter. And definitely don't waste your time watching Dogs Don't Wear Pants. I don't know what the critics and even the fans are saying. Thanks for listening to another edition of Movie Reviews and Observations 104. For On the Radar Tay blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.